Hey guys, welcome back. If you're new here, my name's Kaz. I'm just a regular woman in midlife trying to figure a few things out. I have also become a bit obsessed about figuring out how to live more freer, a more happier, a more authentic life. Because life's better when I feel free. And sometimes that takes me to Bali and other countries and other places, and sometimes that sends me down a bit of a rabbit hole learning about neuroscience and healing. So today we are talking about why I kept energy healing a secret. We're down at the beach today. It's a little bit windy, so we'll just see how we go. I think I might just leave my sandals here and hope no one pinches them. I'd much prefer to walk on the beach barefoot. Barefoot feels nice. Alright, so first let me explain why I've kept silent about energy healing. Well, until now. Probably until about a year ago actually, but why did I keep silent? So it's always been a bit of a taboo topic really, you know, if you talk about, I know in my previous job roles, you couldn't really talk about that sort of stuff because it was sort of seen as alternative. You know, it's not really kind of a mainstream topic. It's not really something that is kind of accepted widely among people outside of the spiritual or the woo kind of environments or communities, shall we say. So when I first started doing private counselling, I never offered energy healing work, even though I'd been doing energy healing work on myself for quite a while. Hope you can hear me, it's quite windy. Might go back this way. This might be better. Now my hair's blowing all over the place. I don't know if filming at the beach was such a good idea. Yeah, so I started just doing more of the like cognitive type therapy, and I left the energy work out of it, and I'll tell you why I came back to it a bit later. So the other reason was, for me, I was brought up in a religious home. Now, I went to church all the time and things like that, but as a kid I sort of always knew there was something a bit more to life than that. I always sort of felt the presence or the sense of something much more powerful than the narrative that it was being fed to me, let's put it that way. And in some ways, growing up in a religion where you're taught about the Holy Spirit and you know, I went to a church where they were speaking in tongues and laying of hands for healing. So in some ways it probably helped me, because that kind of healing work runs through all cultures and religions really, doesn't it? So in some ways it made me accept it more and realise that there must be something to this, because every culture and religion has some form of energy healing medicine through it. But it still wasn't really talked about, or still a taboo type of topic. It's still a conversation that was to be avoided. Didn't really talk about that. So I'll tell you now about my own sort of first early experiences of energy healing. So So I'd say the one that stands out to me most was when I was a teenager. I had really terrible foot condition. I call it athlete's foot, or tinea. It was really bad. My feet were in bandages all the time, every day. And I was using all the creams and the powders and the stuff, and just wasn't getting any better. Sometimes it would for a little bit, and then it would just go back to being big cuts. Actually, I used to come down to the beach, not this beach, a beach back in New Zealand, and I'd walk down to the beach with my shoes and socks on, had basketball boots on, and I'd remove them right when I got to the water, like probably right, you know, right close to the water, because I didn't want to get any sand in those cuts. And then I'd soak my feet or try and walk in the ocean without getting any sand in my cuts. It's very difficult. And then I'd come out, sit at the shoreline and put my shoes and socks on so I could walk up the beach and back home. Anyway, I was at a church camp and I went to bed one night and I thought, oh, you know, if it's true that Jesus heals, I will just lay my hands on my feet and ask for healing. And I don't know why this happened or how, or I can't really explain it, but I woke up the next day and took the bandages off my feet in the morning to change them like I do every morning, and I realised that I was healed. That it was only scars in the way and the cuts had healed. And I couldn't believe it. But by the end of that day I was wearing thongs, the same thongs or jandals, we call them in New Zealand. And so that was probably my first experience. Probably a few other little experiences that I had before that made me realise and understand there is something greater than us. So that's my early childhood experience. But I learnt to shut up, to not talk about it. I learnt that very early on. So that's what I did. So fast forward to about probably 7 years ago, I was diagnosed with cancer. And initially when I was diagnosed, they said, oh look, there's a 90-something% success rate with the kind of cancer I had and the stage that it was at. I thought, oh sweet, it's a good rate, I'll be alright. I said, it's only a 3-month protocol, chemo, radiation, and then you'll be alright. Yeah, breeze through it. And they said my hair was thin. I went completely bald as a badger. But yeah, that's what they don't want to say that, I don't think. Just finding somewhere to sit down. Maybe I'll just find a little seat in the sand over here. There we go, this will do. Yeah, so I found myself with cancer. Anyway, that initial 3-month thing didn't work. What happened was I had my PET scan and they said, oh, that didn't work, we have to do it again. So what was supposed to be 3 months turned into about 9 months, and I was quite sick. I was very sick. I lost all my vitality. But when they told me this, that no, it didn't work, it kind of shook me up a bit, brought me to my knees. I realised something, you know, that I wasn't going to get away with it that easy. And so what I started doing was I returned to energy healing, and I started bringing all awareness into my body. I started listening to my body, and I started talking to it and talking to my cells and sending messages to my cells in my body and bringing vitality back online. So I actually think I probably fared better than most going through cancer. So that was when I returned to it. Basically, it's when I decided there's something in this. So what happened through that experience is I started to become very familiar with myself again. I began to notice the things that I may have ignored for many years, including physical symptoms, emotions, things that I had suppressed probably, old traumas. But instead of digging into them, I began sending love and light and the frequency of freedom and healing through my system, through my body. I didn't get off scot-free. There was still so much to learn from after that, but it gave me, I guess, the first step to healing. It gave me the awareness, how I started to relate to myself and the cancer. I decided to never see that cancer as an enemy, because it was a cell growing inside of me. It had become part of me. So I just decided to never say I'm battling cancer. I never said I'm in a fight or in a war, because I had no energy for a fight or a war. So instead, I guess you could say I fought it with love, and I decided to see it as a journey, and there was going to be another side to it, and I was going to learn something, and it would take me somewhere that I hadn't been before. So that's how I approached it, and that was my very first dive, I guess, back into what it means for your body to heal itself. What does self-healing mean, and what does energy mean? Nowadays I have learnt that they're calling it a biofield, which is just a fancy word for energy healing. And I guess the biggest reason why I'm talking about it now, I guess it is starting to become mainstream. It's beginning to feel safer to talk about it. Science now is catching up and is researching a lot more about energy healing and what it is and how it works and if it does work. So that's making it easier. There was actually a study done recently, and I'll talk about that maybe in the next video. I want to get a bit deeper into the research that's coming out. So I'll do another video if you want to check that out. Just maybe follow along, subscribe, so we can find out more about this energy healing stuff and how it works. And I'd love to hear your experiences as well. You know, if you're looking into energy healing, or you go to a healer, or you're a bit curious about it as well, I'd love to hear your experiences. So maybe, yeah, put them in the comments. Oh, that wind's picking up. I hope it's not too windy in this where I'm sitting. Okay, so the reason why I am talking about it a lot more now, aside from the research that's all coming out about biofield medicine, energy medicine, is because I have been working with clients doing, I call it transformational energy healing. I've been doing this now for about a year solely. That's pretty much the only kind of healing work I've been doing now, and the results are pretty phenomenal. I tell you what, every woman who does a healing with me experiences a shift either on a subtle level or quite in their face. And the results usually can start working within immediately or up to 48 hours afterwards. it's too obvious now to not say anything. It's not just sending love. There is a lot more at play, and I'm learning so much, and I'm starting to see a lot more of where people are feeling stuck in their psyche and their body, their soul. I'm working on a much deeper level, so it's just no way that I can really keep quiet about it. And the other thing is, I guess it feels safer to talk about now, because for years talking about this stuff would, some people would call you evil, or you know, from the devil, or some people would say that it's just all, it's a placebo, right? It's all in your head. Excuse the hair, my god. That's the wind. I didn't do my hair like this, okay? Yeah, but we're no longer seen as witchy or wrong or naughty people for using energy healing medicine. It's actually now becoming a science, evidence-based type of healing, which again I'll talk about in the next video. I really want to share it with you, and I'll leave the link to the study that I found as well. So yeah, I guess that's it in a nutshell. I'm going to be talking a lot more about this. I'll probably do a series on it, and if you're interested as well, I'm still learning. You guys, I'm not here to say that I'm an expert or that I've got it all figured out. I'm still learning, and it's so true that it is a practice, and I guess the more you practice anything, the better we get. And the more we start to notice, just like anything we do when we practice, we start learning more stuff. So yeah, that's where I'm at with it. If you're wanting to get a healing session, I don't really want to use this as a, you know, by energy healing. This is not really the purpose of the video, but if you are interested, I'll leave a link in the description as well, so you can have a look a bit more about the type of healing that I do. You can read up a little bit about it, or book a session if you wanted to. So yeah, that's why I've kept it a secret for a long time, and that's why I've started to talk about it more now. And I'm not sharing this because I want everyone to agree with me. That's not the reason. I don't really care if you agree or not, but I just think it's important to open up the conversation about it, because the wellness industry is growing exponentially. So how do you say that word? It's growing fast. It's a multi-billion dollar industry, and that's because a lot of us aren't just using Western medicine. A lot of us are wanting to explore a bit more about our wellness on an alternative level, or on the Eastern medicines or energy medicines. So it's becoming far more popular. Yeah, I just think that these are really important conversations to have, and I hope you can share your experiences, or if you've got questions to ask, I'll do my best. If you have picked up on what my channel's all about. Oh, it's a very squawky seagull. I am on a quest for freedom, basically, and that's, you know, mind, body, soul, my energy, who I am, identities, all of those things. Not just travel, which I do love. I love to travel, but on all sorts of levels as well. So really keen to share more about this topic around energy healing medicine. So if you're interested, joining the conversation, please like and follow, subscribe, all the things, and I'll see you in the next one. Here they are. lucky find. Alright. Thanks for joining me.